Good morning and welcome, Bermuda. This morning, I will provide an update on the following topics: the Chromebooks donated by the Hasso-Plattner Foundation, the implementation of the Saliva screening initiative in schools, and the signature school engagement process. First, with the Hasso-Plattner Foundation donation. In July 2020, we were pleased to announce that the Hasso-Plattner Foundation donated $500,000 to the Ministry of Education to purchase Chromebooks for the Bermuda public school system. 1,601 Chromebooks were ordered in August 2020, with an expected delivery of October 2020. Due to issues beyond our control and directly attributed to the COVID-19 pandemic, the delivery of these Chromebooks was delayed numerous times. Finally, during the week of April 26, 2021, the Chromebooks arrived on island and were cleared by the Bermuda Customs. The Chromebooks have been counted for accuracy of units, and we can confirm that the number ordered matches the number received. Also, the configuration of the Chromebooks is being carried out by the Department of Education's IT department. The Chromebooks are designated for students only at the primary school level. However, every student at the preschool, primary, and middle level is now equipped with a login credentials, which will enable them to access our remote learning and in-person learning platforms available from anywhere and during any time. Our enterprise learning platforms consist of PowerSchool, Schoology, and G Suite, which are used to support digital content and blended learning. Blended learning, which is not to be confused with hybrid learning, is a method of teaching that integrates digital technology with more traditional face-to-face methods. The best practices of blended learning do not depend on specific devices or software or websites. In anticipation of receiving these Chromebooks, 2 pilot programs were launched at the primary school level in November 2020. The aim of the pilot programs were to test the methodology of blended learning assisted with technology to determine strengths and weaknesses in lesson delivery. The pilot will be expanded during May and June of this year to include an additional 7 teachers at the primary and middle levels. We will carry out an assessment of the pilot programs at the end of this term and use the lessons learned for the teacher training sessions, which will take place in July. We are very pleased that 30 teachers from the primary and middle schools will participate in the summer training. This teacher training will address leveraging digital technologies, both hardware and software, for the classroom using blended learning. The Department of Education uses the train the trainer model, and this will mean teachers who participate in the training will assist with training other teachers at the primary and middle levels of the Bermuda public school system in the upcoming year. The Department of Education is now in the midst of organizing summer programs for students which will integrate the use of Chromebooks, and in September 2021 will commence the rollout of the devices. This rollout will start with upper primary students, P4, P5, and P6, with the goal of having a device in every student's hand. As we train and develop our teachers and monitor the use of the devices in classrooms, we will use what we learn to improve the rollout for additional classrooms. Saliva screening in schools. As previously announced, in addition to our COVID-19 entry and exit school protocol guidelines, a self-administered saliva screening program will be launched in our schools commencing next week. This program involves the weekly screening of 1/4 of the school population. The saliva screening process is self-administered and non-invasive method that will keep our schools safe and open to learning. Once a week, 1/4 of the school population will deposit a saliva sample in a tube. They will seal that tube and place it in a bag. The bag will be sealed and then taken to the government's molecular diagnostic lab to be tested. All negative results for students will be emailed to their parents. In the event of a positive case, the result will be sent to the child's physician, and the Department of Health will contact the parents. Students will not participate in the saliva testing program without the consent of their parents. Last week, parents were emailed an information letter explaining the saliva testing regime and how it is self-administered. A link to a consent form was also sent to parents to complete if they wanted their child to participate in the program. The parental consent form will be kept on file at each school. As of Sunday, May 16th, our private schools had a submission rate of over 90% parental consent forms, while our public schools had reached a rate of around 31%. As a result, the portal was reopened until 5 p.m. today for public school parents to submit their consent form. I am appealing to parents to log on and fill out the consent form to help keep our schools safe and to keep them open for continuous learning. The Saliva testing program will enable us to be proactive with asymptomatic testing and add another layer of protection for our students, our school staff against COVID-19. This will also help to identify students and isolate them quicker in their homes. Once again, I ask our parents to please consider granting parental consent for this non-invasive saliva screening process. This will help to keep all our schools open and safe for continuous learning until the end of the school term in June. I will now speak on signature learning programs for our senior schools. Today, I am pleased to announce a further significant step forward in the form of Education in Bermuda, the list of signatures used to select the signature learning programs for our first two signature schools. I'm delighted to be joined at this press conference by the chairman of the boards of governors for our two senior schools, Mr. Jason Wade, JPMP, the chair of the board at Cedarbridge Academy, and Mr. Craig Bridgewater, the chair of the board at the Berkeley Institute. But let me begin by reminding you of why we are introducing signature learning programs at the senior school level, an introduction of which was legislated for in the Education Amendment Act passed at the end of March. We want all of our young children to be great members of their families, their communities, and of our nation. We want each and every young person to have the skills, knowledge, and relationships so that they can access and succeed in the opportunities and occupations of the future. We want them to be able to follow their passions, build on their talents, and achieve their career and further education aspirations. So for each of our senior schools, we will have two signatures based on sectors of the economy or society and cover a wide range of occupations. In each senior school, for each senior school student, their signature learning program will consist of modules in relevant academic subjects, appropriate practical skills training, individual and group projects focused on real-world issues and challenges, internships and meaningful work placements, effective guidance on careers and further education and relevant accreditation. A student's signature learning program will take up about 30% of their time while following the core curriculum of English, math, social studies, and science. They will further develop the foundational skills that are critical to life and work in the 21st century: critical thinking and problem solving, creativity and communication, collaboration, and team working. Throughout April, there was broad engagement with teachers, students, parents, employers, and the wider public regarding what signatures should be. Many of the comments were made during the engagement expressed enthusiasm and support for the introduction of signature learning programs. Several major employers signaled their interest in helping develop signatures relevant to them. I am very appreciative to all the responses we have received, and I am particularly grateful to the boards and leadership teams of both Cedarbridge Academy and the Berkeley Institute for the positive and productive relationship we've had over the past few weeks. Collectively, all of this has helped us arrive at the final list. 1, STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math. In our original proposal, it was also included an A for agriculture, but several of the feedback that we received suggested that agriculture would be a better fit with 2, climate, environment, and resources, a sector of many challenges and opportunities which will be essential to Bermuda's future. 3, health and social care, which will also include mental as well as physical health. 4, community and social investment. In our original proposal, this was called community safety and social justice. Feedback suggested we refocus this on our assets rather than our deficits. 5, arts and culture, renamed from the arts to give emphasis to the cultural industries that are forecast to be a major growth sector with a wide range of new occupations. 6, education services. Conscious of our need to build a high quality workforce to sustain our education reform and enhance the status of the teaching profession. 7, sports and leisure management. We have added management to give emphasis to the range of occupations available in the sports and leisure sector. 8, financial and insurance services. We all know this to be a key sector of the Bermuda's economy. 9, hospitality and tourism. another key sector of our economy. And 10, building construction and maintenance, trades, and the professions. We are still thinking about the exact title for this signature so that it reflects the full range of occupations in this sector and demonstrates that, like all other signatures, it will be both academic and vocational. Our original signature list included entrepreneurship. However, through the engagement process, we have been persuaded that entrepreneurship should be a part of all signature learning programs rather than be a standalone signature. We have received a number of suggestions for other signatures. After careful consideration, we believe that all of these alternatives can be accommodated within the signatures I have just announced or within the redesigned core curriculum. Over the last 2 weeks, we've had extensive conversations with the boards and principals of both Cedarbridge Academy and the Berkeley Institute. I would now like to invite Chairman Wade and Chairman Bridgewater to say a few words about that process that has brought us to the decisions we are here discussing today.
Thank you for that, Minister. I guess I'll go first. Firstly, we, the Cedarbridge Board, wanted to thank the Minister and the Ministry for including us in this process. We thoroughly enjoyed the process and meeting with the Learning First team and getting to know exactly what the upcoming years would look like. Honestly, my impression was a positive one, because at the end of the day, we know that we need to change the system that we have, and the ideas that they put forth and their willingness to listen to our board, and I can probably say the same for Craig. I know Craig will say the same when they come on board, but the fact that we were able to give feedback to what we thought was necessary in the system, it was critical for us for our buy-in. So that was one of the main things that we found important in the consultation process. We also believe that when it comes to these signatures that you have announced, that they're what Bermuda needs for the future. They identify the needs and they address the needs that our young men and young women are looking for in a school system that we want to be successful. So we're very happy with that. With the meetings that we've had 3 or 4 meetings with the Learning First team during this process, and they've kept us abreast of what needed to be done and what's going to be done. And we're looking forward to hearing in the near future as to which signatures we will have at Cedarbridge Academy. Craig?
Thank you, Mr. Wade. Thank you, Minister. And I just reiterate just thanking the Minister and the Ministry and Learning First for including us in the discussion today. And just to touch on me, from its earliest beginnings, the Berkeley Institute as an aided school has consistently been in the vanguard of offering innovative and challenging programming to our students. And indeed, this explicitly is set out in the school's core values, which was lauded in Parliament and adopted by the Minister of Education at the time of their adoption in 2005. The Berkeley Board of Governors and indeed the entire school family is excited to be presented with the prospect to offer signature programming to our students when the initiative is launched in September of 2022 as part of the redesign of the Bermuda public school system. Signature programming will enhance our opportunities to develop the whole person within all of our students, and it will also get students very excited as they vision the path to their desired future. It will also give the business and community partners the platform to vision how they might partner with us to develop the next generation of Bermudian and global citizens. In order that we might be adequately prepared and resourced to effect a smooth transition to becoming a signature school, along with our sister school, Cedarbridge Academy, our Board of Governors has established a signature school transition committee, which is chaired by our board member, Ms. Karita Cottington. This committee includes active participation of all our immediate stakeholders, including the principal and her leadership team, faculty, staff, the executive of our PTSA, parents, and students, and also the Berkeley Educational Society. This committee is working very closely with Learning First and the principals of the Innovation Unit, and we've had a number of opportunities to meet and engage with them to ensure that our energies are always aligned and consistently in the best interests of our students. It is envisioned that this committee will pivot to work with Learning First to oversee the design and implementation of the new programming of the Berkeley Institute, And this is indeed a very exciting time for Berkeley Institute and public education in Bermuda. And we look forward to continuing engagement with all of our stakeholders, with the ministry and Learning First, as we bring this to reality for September 2022. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman Wade, and thank you, Chairman Butterfield. As I said in the beginning of my remarks, this is a significant milestone in the reform of education in Bermuda, a further manifestation of this government's commitment. The next step will be for Learning First to work with Cedarbridge and Berkeley to recruit and induct school transformation teams that will develop the signature learning programs for school year 2022-23. If you are interested in joining any of these teams, then please do email us at schoolredesign@moed.bm. Bermuda, each of us has a role to play in stopping the spread of coronavirus. Follow our public health guidelines, wear a mask, practice good hand hygiene, and maintain physical distance, and download the We Help Bermuda app. Do the research, talk to your doctor, and make informed decisions for getting the COVID-19 vaccine. Help all of us to keep our country safe, keep our schools safe, and keep us safe. And with that, I want to say thank you to the media, thank you to the Bermuda public for allowing us to have this press conference, and now we'll open it up for questions from the media.
Thank you, gentlemen. At this time, we are going to go to media questions. So the first that we have is going to be Miss Sarah Leggin from the Royal Gazette. So I'm going to admit her now. Okay, Sarah, you're in. Are you able to join us on video? Okay, so she's connecting. You're still connecting to audio, so it might just take a couple more seconds. Okay, Sarah, you are live. You can proceed with your questions. Did we might have, oh, you're back, okay. Okay.
Looks like you still have an audio issue.
It is, yeah. Okay, did you want me to come? I'm just gonna probably come back to you, Sarah, and give you just a moment to get that sorted. Yeah, so we can go to, we're gonna go to Mr. David Fox from the BBC.
Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Fox. Okay, you are live. You can ask your questions.
Yes, so I was interested in the saliva screening in the schools. Did I get it correct? 31% of public school parents have come back and said yes?
That is correct. As of the Sunday.
Sorry, so what I was asking, I just want to make sure I heard that correctly, Minister. What I'm asking is, this was over what period? You know, how much time did they have to respond? In other words, has the period for them to respond expired, or are you, or is it all the way up until the school starts? Because I'm just wondering why the number is so low.
Thank you for that question, Mr. Fox. What we did conduct was town hall meetings during the first week of school, which was last week. We conducted town hall meetings in all of our school levels, from preschool all the way through senior school, and then including one that was done for Dame as well. The portal, the email was sent out early last week to parents to sign up. Maybe some were waiting to hear from the town halls. And then it closed this Saturday. So it was open for approximately a week. And then when we looked at the numbers, we did some outreach on Monday, and parents were calling to say, hey, I didn't get a chance, can I sign up? And so we reopened the portal until today, and we're pushing for parents who did not get an opportunity to sign up before to reconsider and go on the portal and sign up to get their children done. I'm hoping it was just a matter of parents just running out of time or just not realizing it would close. The purpose of the portal being closed is because we need time, the MDL lab and the schools need time to organize. And so we can't have the cutoff being the day before testing is supposed to start. So that's why we're appealing to parents. If you haven't received the email from the Department of Education or from your school, call your school and ask how you can sign up and help us to keep our schools safe.
So the 90% was private schools?
Private schools, yes. When we reached out to private schools to get their uptake, they reported that they were in plus 90% for all of the schools that returned their information.
I mean, just want trying to get some idea of why you think 90% as opposed to 30%. They all got the same information, same time.
Well, I cannot hazard a guess as to why. I do know that within our system, the outreach, it's a tremendously much more complex system with us. We've got 4,400 students and multiply that by at least 4,400 parents to reach out to them. We've conducted all that we can. We've sent emails. We have advertisements going out by social media. We're appealing during press conferences like this for parents to sign up. And so we're hoping by the end of the day that we will be in our 90% because all of our parents recognize that having our children in school is the most important thing for them, and having our schools open and COVID-free is a boost for not only just our children but also for our economy and our parents, so they're able to go out and do whatever it is that they need to do during the day without having to worry about children being at home or us closing schools because of outbreaks.
What's the number that you need? You said 4,400 public school students. For this to work, you obviously need a certain number. So
no, we don't need a certain number to work. Those who have signed up for Saliva screening, they will be screened.
Okay, and
those that will not be screened because
is the program as useful with a small number as opposed to
I don't think we should get into the.
You're only doing 25%, every week. So I'm just really trying to get a sense of how this is actually useful if you can't get the numbers to a certain level and what that level is. Also, Minister, can you tell me, you said 4,400 public school students, how many private school students?
Actually, I don't know the number of private school students. I think they sit at around 30 now, off the top of my head.
Okay.
And in terms of the numbers that we need to make this work, all we need to make this work is we're able to test our students. And whatever numbers we end up with, we will test those students. So at least we know that the students that are being tested are being protected, and they will in turn protect the ones that perhaps their parents choose not to be tested. So there's no magic number that makes this work. We expect as many as possible. Hopefully we can get to the 90+% like the private schools have, but if we have not, the program will continue.
Okay, so you won't be concerned. I mean, for example, for the general population, we're talking about herd immunity, community immunity, as the Premier would say. So I would have thought it would have been a similar sort of thing, that you wanted a certain percentage of people who are going to be interacting amongst each other in each school, for example.
First of all, let's not get this confused with community protection, which has to deal with another matter altogether. And
I'm sorry, my mistake.
This is a program that is being put in place in addition to what already exists in place, which has kept our schools very safe and open since September. We've only had to close on a few occasions, and in most of those times have been when our teachers have been affected and we've not been able to have enough teachers in the school system. So this is just an added protection. We still have our current COVID-19 entry and exit protocols that help protect our schools and keep them open. This was just another layer of protection that we were adding. And so, as I said, we hope that 90+ people sign up for it for this added protection, but this will not stop us from doing what we've been doing already to keep our schools safe.
Which leads to the other question: what percentage of teachers are vaccinated? You don't know that because you can't ask them, right? So there's no way of knowing.
The vaccination program for teachers, they were added to the tier 1. If you do recall, we had different tiers, and teachers were also given special access to vaccinations during the Easter program. At this point, we cannot tell you how many teachers have been vaccinated because that is their personal choice. But we do hope that the teachers have taken advantage of it and help to protect themselves and by extension protect the country and the schools that they teach at.
Okay, but they were part of tier 1, so they would have been young. Well, they wouldn't have been, the only other people in tier 1 I thought were like over 70 or something, weren't they?
Yes. Remember, there was tier 1, and then there were 2 levels to tier 1. We had the age, the elderly, and then we also had the emergency workers, essential workers that were in that tier as well. So the teachers were allowed to be in that essential worker tier when it came to vaccination. So they were some of the first that were allowed to be vaccinated if they chose.
Do you think public schools can be as competitive as private schools in education right now? I mean, I think when the numbers sort of went down, the total numbers of students, there's from a number of people, but I just wonder whether, because I know one of the reasons to sort of to try to reform education was to try to improve student outcomes, and so I'm just wondering is this the most significant thing that you intend to do to try to improve student outcomes and perhaps, get those numbers a little better than they have been in the past?
It's interesting that you mentioned that. That is a very good question, because what we're looking at our education reform is to change the narrative from exactly what you just spoke about. We're not here to necessarily compete directly with any other school. Our education system consists of both public and private schools, and the outcomes and the opportunities given to our students have to be at a level that encourages them to be the best that they can be. The public school system is what we call a comprehensive system, whereas the private school system is a selective system. And so we have spent quite a lot of time chasing that model of that really does play to a selective system. We have come to the realization that we have to reform our system to give all of our students an opportunity to excel. This is one of the rationales behind the signature school, the signature learning program, is to give a wide variety of opportunities to our students so they can all excel and be as successful as they can. And so, yes, I do see what we're doing as the opportunity to improve our system and give our students better outcomes. And I do see Chairman Craig wanted to answer that as well.
Certainly. He's got to turn on his mic.
Thank you, Minister. Thank you, Mr. Fox. I would, in addition to the comments that the minister made in response to that question, so I think it should be noted that the public school system does have a comprehensive intake. So that's important if we want to look at comparisons. But I would invite you to have a look at the results that are coming out of the Bermuda public school system at Berkeley and at Cedarbridge. And if you look at our graduates and what they're achieving this week, actually tomorrow, is going to be the Bermuda College graduation. So we've got dual enrollment students from Berkeley and Cedarbridge who will be graduating from the Bermuda College with associate's degrees and other certifications. So I think the output of the two senior schools, which is really the culmination of the Bermuda public school experience, is very laudable. And I'll invite you to kind of just have a look at that and have a look at the results that are coming out. Both from
Did you say high school students graduating from Cedarbridge? Is that what you said?
No, high school students graduating from the Bermuda College.
From the Bermuda College, I'm sorry. Yes. And so do you know how many there are?
I don't have the numbers right in front of me. We'll know that information for sure tomorrow, because the graduation ceremony takes place tomorrow. So I'm pretty sure Bermuda College has those statistics readily available and can deliver that to you once the graduation ceremony is finished tomorrow. But I think it's worthwhile looking at that and looking at the outcomes that we are seeing. So we do have some students that are achieving at every single level of the education spectrum. That's worth considering.
Thank you. That is
Okay,
very
thank
useful.
you. Thank you for that, Mr. Fox. So that's going to conclude your questions for today. So we're going to try to revisit Ms. Legan from the Royal Gazette. I'm just going to admit her now. Okay, Sarah, are you in? Yes. Okay, perfect. You are live. You can proceed with your questions.
Thank you very much.
Good morning, Sarah.
Good morning, all. Yes, great. Okay, thank you. You had mentioned.
You're getting a lot of feedback,
that yeah, I'm not sure why that's happening.
Are you? Do you have a live stream up on any of your devices? Yes, exit out of wherever the live stream is, and then the feedback should stop.
Okay, is that better?
Yes.
Okay, apologies for that. Okay, so you mentioned, Mr. Rabain, that some employers had registered some interest in the signatures. Can you go into a little bit more detail on that?
I do know that as part of the engagement process, private sector was reached out to and discussed, and that is where in those particular conversations, these were business leaders from various industries in Bermuda. I'm not knowledgeable of exactly who was in those meetings, because I did not actually attend those meetings, but I could get that to you, Sarah. But that information came from the engagement sessions with business leaders.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it.
Craig,
Can I comment?
Yes.
So I think that's a great question, Sarah. And I think one of the opportunities, and I alluded to it in my comments, of going to the signature school programming is the immense ability to partner with kind of both community and business enterprises. Because what we want to do is actually kind of provide experiential learning opportunities for all our students. So that ranges through all the signatures. So if you look at financial and insurance services, there's no reason why we can't partner with reinsurance companies or other industry groups to look at programming and to provide our students with real hands-on practical experiences. And that could also go to the sciences. So we can team up with the likes of BIOS and the aquarium and museum and zoo in regards to those. We can go to kind of the accounting firms. There's so many different opportunities to actually partner with different organizations. And this gives this gives them a straight view as to where exactly they can help, because they can say, well, if you're doing financial and insurance services, I definitely can help in this area. Or if you're doing kind of, climate or conservation services, I could definitely help in this area. So I think signatures create a great opportunity for us to actually link those things.
And if I could piggyback on that, Craig and Sarah, it's not just the financial sector that have reached out to this process. You have carpenters, you have plumbers, you have electricians who are interested in the trades, who are interested in assisting with these young men and young women in joining the trade sector. So we have received feedback from people in these sectors, not just the international business sector, but the hands-on sector, the technical sector as well. So we're looking forward to it. Like I said, we are very excited at the interest that has been shown during this process from the everyday community member that wants this to be successful. So that's what us at the Cedarbridge Board we're most excited about, is the interest from the water community in making this a successful initiative.
Great, thanks very much. Can you give any more detail about the consultation process at this stage? I know it's a question I ask pretty much every time, but how submissions came in, what sort of signatures were approving popular outside of the ones that you've mentioned today? Any more information you can give us on that process? Minister?
I can start off, but I will defer to the chairmen because they were actually engaged in a lot of these sessions. One of the things that I can say with this particular process is we have looked at how the engagement process can work more effectively than the let's decide what's over here and then go and ask the questions on implementation. And so that's where the final list came from. And we were actually surprised at some of the things that persons had asked and some of the things that they had suggested. And I know and there's lots of ways that we could cut the data that we did receive. And as I said, the team did talk to educators, talk to the boards of the various schools, talk to parents, business sector, they talked to students. I even went down as low as the middle school students, and we're engaging with them to get an idea of what they consider to be significant in terms of moving forward. And I can be corrected. I know Craig and Jason were in those meetings, but business and financial sector, sports, the medical field, and trades were probably some in the top 5 consistently across the board when we did talk. But I would just give some time to both Chairman Wade and Bridgewater to give their experiences on that engagement sessions.
I mean, I guess the comments that I'll add to what the minister said is that confirming that it was a very broad consultation process, a very broad cross-section of people that we had a chance to get comments from, or the Learning First team anyway. From our perspective, we looked at all our stakeholders, so we made sure that we talked to our faculty. We had a session with the PTSA, had a session with our board, really to get the feedback from all those constituents and students as well, because it's important that they understand or they give their views as to what they see as their futures and how they can best participate in this. So it was a very broad cross-section of folks. And the other thing to note is that the signatures will continue to evolve. So as the future of our careers and future of work continues to evolve. So right now, the signatures reflect where we are as a community and what the careers look like now. But over time, we expect for those to evolve as our world evolves.
And I don't think it's been stated yet so far today, but yes, we know that Berkeley and Cedarbridge will have the first signatures come September 2022, but it's important to note that these are just the first signatures. There's more signatures that are coming down the road, so these are just the first steps. So obviously, which signatures Berkeley and Cedarbridge get first for September 2022, it's always important to note that the other signatures will be phased in. And this is a good start. But again, we have to remember this is just a start, and we have a long way to go to get to where we want to be. But again, you can't get to where you want to be without starting. So that's what I think the team must be commended on, is putting this start in place and ensuring that it happens when it's supposed to happen.
Thank you. Could you just clarify, out of the signatures that you've mentioned, do we know which ones will be at Cedarbridge and Berkeley out of that list? It's not quite decided yet, or?
Sarah, and it isn't quite decided yet. And because it's a collaborative process, the schools are providing us with their input on and their choices in ranking order. We plan to have a discussion on Friday to finalize that, and a further announcement will be made once those discussions are finalized.
I'd just like to add that we are going through a methodical approach around this. So we do have the approved signatures, and in the first instance, what we're doing is looking at the resources available to us as on each campus. So look at our facilities. And see, what do our facilities land to any of those particular signatures, and also looking at our current complement of faculty and staff as well. So obviously we realize that our faculty and staff will need to be kind of further developed, or it might change. But if we're looking at the resources we have available to ourselves right now, what do our facilities and what do our faculty what can they effectively deliver, and then using that as an input into selecting the signatures for each site.
And I think
Sorry.
it's important to note also that in this process, one of the key things that has been continually mentioned with Learning First, and something that we have reiterated, is that the training of staff. So we need to make sure that the staff that we do have fit, just like what Craig said, fit the signatures that we will be providing at the schools, but also the Learning First, one of their main things that they stipulated while we were consulting with them is that the training of staff will be had. It has to be, because at the end of the day, we can't just say, okay, we're doing this signature school and this is what you have to teach. You have to make sure that the teaching staff is trained and well versed in what they're going to be providing for our students. So I wanted to make sure that was clearly stated. And we've had these conversations with the unions as well. I know the minister and the ministry have these conversations with the unions, but we have to ensure that the staff know that the training will be given to ensure that they are prepared for what's coming.
Is there anything more you can add to that, Minister? You mentioned some training during the summer. Are teachers going to be prepared in terms in time for September 2022?
Yes, the teachers will be prepared. The training and the processes that both chairmen have just spoken to are scheduled to. We will continue with working during the summer, but when the next school year starts, that's when the real into how that training will be done will start. And it's anticipated that we will need those 12 months to ensure that we are ready. Because when we do want to roll these out at the schools, we don't want the look and feel, well, there's just another initiative over there in the corner working. The schools will need to look and feel different from when they come in. So it's not just about the signatures, it's about the overall curriculum at our senior school level that is being looked at and being revamped as we move forward.
Yes, Sarah, I think it's worthwhile noting that one of the major work streams in the design process is professional development. So that's going to be at the forefront of kind of the design from now until September.
Okay. Just going off topic a little bit, if you don't mind, Minister, as I usually do at the end. There has been a little bit of backlash in terms of Social Justice Bermuda responding to news that Clarion is funding education for private schools for Black students and underrepresented students. Social Justice Bermuda and Ryan Robinson Parent Chief have said that this could be a hindrance to what you're trying to do in terms of improving the public education system. Do you sympathize with those sentiments?
Sarah, I admit that I glanced at Ryan's piece. I haven't seen anything from Social Justice Bermuda that I have read, but our private entities are free to give to whomever they want. I think Clarion has looked at what that release was and probably could have done something differently along those lines. I encourage private sector to donate to education, period, across the board, no matter where. Obviously, I'm going to always advocate for public school education, but at the end of the day, we as a community have to educate all of our children, regardless of what school they do attend. The Bermuda public school system has lots of entities, private entities that do donate to it and give back. Some of them want to be recognized, some of them wish to remain anonymous. Our focus is to ensure that our reforms get our children the opportunities that they deserve. And I do believe very strongly that once we see that reform starting to happen and our children getting the services that they deserve, people will come on board and support the public school system even more so than what they've done before. You've heard us talk about now when the conversations with private sector, and they're keenly interested in what we're doing with the signature programs and looking to donate for time and services along those lines once we get to the point where they're developed. And so, I think the premise of the donation was ill-conceived from Clarion, but it is something that as a private entity, they are free to do. And I will encourage them and put a plea and put a bug in their ear that the Bermuda public school system could utilize donations as well for various things. We have students without adequate devices, personal devices. We're trying to alleviate that. You heard me talk earlier about the Chromebook initiative that we're embarked upon. There are certainly resources within our schools that could definitely be enhanced in some ways. So I would encourage companies, if they're considering donating to education, you have to look at it from that perspective, to education, consider the Bermuda public school system. I'm sure Clarion, after the articles that have been written and the backlash, they're probably reconsider what they've done and probably look to improve.
Okay, thank you, Sarah. Okay, so that's going to conclude our press conference for today. So thank you so much for tuning in, Bermuda, and have a great day.